How's it going, everyone? Today we're going to continue working on our 1976 Gottlieb Target Alpha. Okay, in the last episode we finished up the back panel. I got everything clean on it. The episode before that we cleaned everything on the bottom panel too. And as you can see, I went ahead and put everything together. I didn't think we needed a video of me putting it together. Got the front of it all cleaned up, coin doors all clean and installed. I got the lockdown bar freed up. It's working, or lockdown bar receiver is all cleaned up, lubed and free now and straightened out. Got our bottom panel down in. Got our back mech all done up, put in. Everything's hooked up here. Got our Jones plugs hooked up. So we got everything all cleaned and ready to go. In this episode, we got one more piece to clean, and that's the Playfield. Got everything left to do on the Playfield. We haven't done anything to it yet except take it out and set it up there and lean it up against another machine. So we gotta get it up on here and get busy cleaning on it. Got all of our drop targets and drop target banks and everything to clean up, coils to re-sleeve, you know, just the normal stuff that I have to do on these, or that I do on these before I even plug them in. See, all of our score reels are all cleaned up. They look good. I still got to clean the back glass. Want to get it turned on, and I'll get all the light bulbs changed in it, and then we'll put the back glass in. No hurry. We still got some work to do. I scrubbed the cabinet in a couple episodes ago. Got the cabinet all cleaned up. Back box and bottom cabinet. I mean, it's not perfect and it's not pretty, but it's gonna be a really good playable machine. I think it's gonna play better than it looks. I mean, I don't think it looks bad at all. You know how I am with missing paint. It just drives me nuts, but I gotta keep overlooking it. And oh yeah, look at this. I even put the back box on and pulled the cord through this time. One of my favorite tricks, put the back box on and get it all bolted down and cords down inside. But let's get started on our Playfield, the underside of the Playfield. Let me bring it over here and I'll get it set down in here upside down, and we can start getting to work on it. Alright, this video is going to be all about just doing this 10 bank drop target. This one we need to service it. I'm going to tear it down. There's no broken drop targets in it, but I do want to clean all the drop targets up. I did the 5 bank, and I thought maybe everybody might want to see tearing down and reassembly of this 10 bank. This one is massive on the Gottlieb Target Alpha. So we're going to tear it down completely. Well, not completely. We're going to tear it down, get all the drop targets out of it. We're going to clean up all the drop targets, and check everything, make sure everything's okay, clean all of our switches, put new sleeves in the two coils. We have all the switches on the back side here. There's 10 sets of switches on the back, and there's 10 sets of switches there, and one set here that lets the machine know when the drop targets are down or up. So this is going to be a lot of fun. First you have to take the 2 screws out of this light bar, because those lights are all connected to the switches on the drop target bank. So we need to have room to pull this up out and lay it on the Playfield so we can work on it. Now there's only 2 screws. I already took them out. There's one there and one on the other end. And then your drop targets, there's 6 screws. There's 1, 2, there's 3 holding it down in the back, and then there's 3 hidden down in here. And then that'll release the whole drop target assembly from the Playfield. These are, that guy right there is just a metal, has a metal flat piece on it. It's like an angle that that supports the switch behind the drop targets. That keeps the switch from when the ball hits it, it doesn't fold it over and get stuck under it. You can take them out. Normally I don't, but I think this time I will with this massive bank of drop targets. That way I don't have to fight when I go to put everything back in. That one switch down there looks like it's open too far. Anyway, so let me get those 6 screws out of there, and then I'll show you what we do next. Next we have 6 screws to take off, so we can take this switch plate off the back here. This will give us because it's tethered down, you have your wires here, so that doesn't give us enough room to get it up off, enough rope to get it up off of the Playfield. So there's 6 screws. This one was missing for that bracket that holds the bank down. There's one right in there. And right above each one of these brackets there's see, that one was missing too, that bottom screw. So we'll have to locate a couple of screws, because that's what helps anchor the drop target bank down. So let's get those 6 out of there, and we can remove this whole plate. Now with that switch plate off, so you can lay the drop target assembly right up on top here. And like I said, see that light bank was in the way. It wouldn't have let you do this. And I was right. It does look like somebody did break the glass on this to get into it. There's another piece of glass there. And we've got an unpaid renter, a stink bug. Nice little stink bug. We'll get rid of him. It was eviction time for the stink bug. Okay, nothing else laying down in there. Now comes the fun part, taking out all of these drop targets. First thing we have to do is there's an E-clip here. There's a long rod that runs through here that holds all these levers in place. And we have 2 springs on every drop target. There's 1 spring on the lever and 1 spring on the drop target that we have to remove as well. These aren't too awful bad. Start at the end. If you have one in the middle that's broke, you still have to go all the way through all this to get to that middle one because of this rod. Once you have to pull that rod out. I'll show you here in a minute. You have to pull that rod out so you can release the lever so you can get the drop target out. There's no other way to get that drop target out of there unless you pull that and remove the lever. So we'll get started here after I answer my text on my phone. Seems like I'm awful popular this morning. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get this E-clip off of this rod without it going flying across the garage, or without stabbing my finger. Put that in a safe place. Gimme. Now we got to take these 2 springs off. There's one right there, and then there's one back up in here. And all you have to do is we'll unhook it off of the rod, and then hopefully we can take it off of the, it has to come off the drop target. Because the drop target won't come down through with that spring on it. Come on. There's one. Now the one up top here, just unhook it off of this lever, and you can leave it hanging there. It's hooked up top here. If it falls off, it's not hard to put back on. Now we got to start pushing our rod through, grabbing it from the other side. Hopefully it'll, there we go. Now there's a spring right here. Let me get my pointer. There's a spring right here that holds, let's see, that one. That one just kind of keeps tension on everything. And what we'll do is we're going to get a hold of it with our pliers, pulling the rod from the other side. And we just want to hang on to it so it doesn't go flying across the garage. Now, pull our rod all the way to release the one lever. Some of them you can, there we go, push it down through and it hits the switch on the other side. And there's our nasty drop target. Got 10 of these. Pull up our lever. I'm not gonna say a word. Remember how it goes in. It goes in like so. One spring hook's there and the other spring hook's there. We'll lay that off to the side, and we're going to do we have to do the same thing for the next one. Unhook your spring. I just take a little screwdriver, get a hold of the spring, the loop on the spring, and unhook it off the drop target. Unhook the one off with a lever. Pull your rod. Releases that lever. And you can just kind of push the lever down in. And there's your lever. Like I said, I'm not going to say a word. On your drop target, that's where your spring hooks. Comes through here and then hooks down onto there. And there's another nasty drop target. Like I said, you have to do this even if you have one broke out here, broke out in the middle. If you have one broke out in the middle, you still have to work your way to it. You know, whichever end is closer, this rod down here will come out either side. So we have 8 more to go. I'll get the rest of those out of there, and we'll clean everything up. Now on your last drop target, you don't want to pull that rod all the way out, because you have another one of these. Let me find it for you. You have another one of these little springs on the other end. And if you can help it, you'd like to keep it hooked up. That way you don't have to screw with that one. So just pull the rod out far enough that it releases that drop target lever. And then you can take out the drop target and leave it in there. There we go. That way you can leave that spring hooked up. I know I'm in the way. Battery in my other camera died. There we go. And there's our lever and our nasty drop target. Now all I'm doing is I'm just going to clean these. None of them are broke or in bad shape. They're just, you know, they're a little wore and filthy. So we're just going to clean these up and reuse them. Why replace them if they're not bad, unless you have a problem with them being wore down through the center where the ball hits it. And if you want, you can take them and touch them up with paint and then put them back in, or you can spend like 90 bucks and buy 15 new drop targets. That's your call, not mine. That's better. little cleaner, a little better looking. Now on these drop targets, like I said, this is where your spring hooks to hold it forward. And this little notch right here, that's what actually keeps your drop target standing up. When it pushes them up, this goes up and then sits on a little shelf. And then when you whack it with the ball, it pushes it off that shelf and it drops. So kind of take a look at this. If it's all wore out, if you have a drop target that doesn't want to stay up, it could be that the drop target's just wore right here, where it can't sit on that little shelf anymore, or it could be your drop target bank where it sits down in there. But hopefully you want it to just be the drop target, because I don't know where in the heck you'd find a complete unit so you could swap it out. So now that we got them all cleaned up, now it's time to start putting it all back together. Okay, enough procrastinating. Let's get this done. Okay, hopefully you're going to be able to see this. I'm going to try and stay out of the way as much as possible. Make sure your thing goes in the right way and in the right place. On this, we want to get our drop target started. We'll slide this thing down in there like so. No. Okay. I mean, we can pull that off. That's not gonna. And then we can put this guy in here. Get him started. Now this bracket I'm pissing with right now is the stop for the drop target. Nope. To your little bracket here has to go on top. Sorry if it seems like I'm all thumbs, but oh shit, I just lost that spring. Okay, sorry about that. That first one, that spring out here on the end went flying across the garage and I had to go find it, so I fought with that first one and got it in, just because I was going to be in the way and you wouldn't have been able to see what I was doing anyway. Now to put these back in, we'll get our drop target started. The slot down there for the switch, you can stuff your little bracket down inside there, and hopefully get him started. Yep, and he falls out. Get this stop a little bit up out of the way. Come on. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Now you can slide your rod through to hold your bracket in place. Oh, come on. Taking them apart always is a lot easier than putting them back together. There, now we got that one started. Anyway, now take our little spring, hook him on there. And hook it on the bracket. Now we have the other spring to contend with, the one that's up top. Now if you take your finger and get a hold of that little and just kind of move it with your finger, you can see it, get a hold of it. And hook it on there. Now you got your drop target. We'll do one more. Take your nice little bracket. Sorry, I just can't get over. Slide it down in that slot where your switch is. Stand that bracket up. Line up the bracket. And push your rod through. Hook your spring on your drop target. Down. And hook it on there on your bracket. Same thing, just kind of if you stick your finger on it, you can kind of maneuver it around. Had two of them. There's your drop target. 7 more to go. I'll go ahead. I can put you in time lapse, but I think a lot of this I'm probably, yeah, I'm in the way most of the time, I think. Let me see if I can get one where you can really see. Okay. Bracket. Make sure it's going the right way. Drop target. The rod through. Hook up that spring on the drop target. Bring it down. And knock it off. There. Pick him up a little bit so I can see what the hell I'm doing. There. There's another one. Alright, I'll get this finished up and then we'll start getting it put back together as far as getting our switch plate put on it. And we'll do a few other things and finish up. Okay, now you got all your drop targets in. Now we got to put this little stop bracket on. And just line him up with our shaft. Okay, why are you springy? Everybody out of the way. Yep. Okay. Now we have to put that little goober back on. He's the one that went flying on the other end that I had to stop and go find it. That's why I went ahead and put the first drop target in first. Okay, this loop hooks on this screw. Let me get a poker. This loop here kind of wraps around the outside of this, or the screw here. And the hole, of course, goes through your shaft, and the little hook hooks up here. Now, what I have found the easiest way is to make sure your shaft is up far enough. There we go. Okay, sorry, it doesn't hook up here, it hooks down here. And now we can slide it through the bushing. Making sure it's lined up. You don't want to force it or you'll screw up that bushing. Now our fun little E-clip. Alright, where'd you go, little E-clip? We gotta put this E-clip back on without it flying across the garage. There. Yeah. Resets. Okay. set our drop targets, and we're good to go. Now we get to start putting the rest of it back together and cleaning switches and replacing sleeves on our 2 reset coils. Okay, everything's cleaned and working like it should on it. Now all we have to do is replace our sleeves. I cleaned all the switches on the back side and the front side. Like I said, there's 20 sets of switches, 21 counting this one that tells it when to take a dump and push them up. Okay, we're going to change sleeves now. Yeah, sorry about that. Alright, now that since you have this already unscrewed, you might as well go ahead and change your light bulbs and clean your inserts too. Get your inserts all cleaned up. So when you screw that back down, that light bar back down, it's all ready to go, you hope. There's some rust on some of these sockets, so we're hoping they're all gonna work. But you will need exactly 1 box of light bulbs, since there's 10 light bulbs per box, and there's 10 light bulbs on that light bar. So we'll put new light bulbs in there, clean the inserts, and we'll change both of our sleeves. These ones, these coils here take a 2.5-inch sleeve. Big old mamma jamma. And they're fairly easy to change. I'll set you up. It's easier than trying to do it one-handed. Okay, you got 4 Allen head screws on this coil. Always change your sleeves. I don't know how many times I've told you that, but always change your sleeves. They get dirty, they get wore. I don't care how old the game is. Well, unless it's, you know, only a couple years old, then I guess you don't really need to. But on all these old games that are, you know, 35, 40 years old, always change all the sleeves. Pull him up off of there. Head off. Check your coil stop. As always. It's not all mushroomed. Push your old nasty sleeve up out of there. Take a nice pretty new one. Slide him back down on there. Got some crap on the plunger. Look at that. Get him all cleaned up. Slide him back down on there. Coil stop. Just noticed you can't see anything I'm doing. Well, since you couldn't see what I was doing on the other one, kind of had you stuck on the back side of it and I didn't realize it. We'll change this one out. I don't know how many times I've reiterated about changing your coil sleeves. But I'm going to again. Always change your coil sleeves. You know, some of them are 40 years old and then some. Alright, take our coil stop off and we'll take a quick look at it. It's okay. Pull our coil up off. Pop out the coil. Wipe the goober off of the plunger. New sleeve. Get back down on there. See, for all the longer it takes you to change coil sleeves and what they cost, you know, most of them are 50 cents. You can't afford to put 50 cents in coil in sleeves and couple of minutes changing them. Just when we go to plug it in, we know our coils are good. We've cleaned all the switches. Cleaned up the drop targets and all the switches on the drop target banks. You know, that was something we didn't have to do, but it sure will look a lot better. I mean, you can push them up and then clean them while they're up in the air, but you can't really get them really nice and clean. Hardest thing about doing the drop targets is trying to keep your hands clean enough that when you're touching the drop targets, you're not getting all this black schmutz all over them. Okay, now all we have left to do is our light bulbs and inserts, and I think I can do those on my own. I don't think you need to be watching me do those. That's it. Okay, we got our drop target, our 10 drop target bank all cleaned and ready to go. New sleeves in both of the reset coils. While we were here, we went ahead and cleaned all the inserts and put new light bulbs in the light bar, since it had to be removed. And I've already done that one. That was the first one I did before I tackled the big one. I wanted to kind of refresh my memory on the small one before I showed you how to redo this big one. I didn't want to get into that one and look like a total fool. I mean, wow, whatever. Anyway, those are all clean. Both of those are done. So I think that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it. So until next time, come on, up there. See ya.